Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Circus Monkey Sports. My name is Gavin, and of course, I am the Circus Monkey. Thank you for joining me this morning. I appreciate everybody jumping in thus far. We're going to get the show started. I'm passing out a last couple of tags of people requested for me to do, and then we'll get going. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's had a great time. It is just me this morning, so we will get jumping right into things here in just a second once we get, like I said, the last couple of guys wanted tags. So fantasy football again this morning. We're going to go over the ins, the outs, the tops, the goods, the bads, everywhere in between. We're going to answer your questions just like we do every single week. We're going to go over the questions you guys have and then kind of discuss where we think everything's going to end up at, right? And we've had some great discussions of people talking to us amongst each other, which has been great, getting feedback, not just from myself, but everybody in the chat. Hey, good morning, Jake. How are you, sir? Alicia, good morning, everybody. So hit that, if you get a chance real quick, do what I'm doing real fast. Hit that share button. Let all your friends know that we are chatting fantasy football. We are going to get going in just a minute. Like I said, letting a couple last people know that we are live. The other thing, guys, encourage my boy Caps to finally jump online with me and join in and have some of the fun with us. So I hope everyone's had a good Sunday morning. Get your family breakfast or anything else out of the way. And let's get talking some football. All right. Who we got? Grant Bow, how are we doing? Who should we start? Let's jump right into it. Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, or Matthew Stafford? So this is actually one of the tougher questions I think we're going to start the show with. And the reason for it is you got three guys that are fantasy stars, if you want to call them that, right? Fantasy reason why is because they may not always have winning teams. Obviously, the Lions are a disaster. Atlanta this year can't seem to stay in the lead once they have it. But it's tough. So you're going to look at a team in let's say the Lions with Matthew Stafford. The Jacksonville Jaguars have given up 75 plus percentage completion against the opposing quarterbacks. So they're not only are they giving up a bunch of touchdowns, they're just giving up a bunch of yards. So Stafford is primed for a big game. Now, as we know, Matt Ryan puts up big fantasy points, but Julio, still a little banged up, not 100%. And then Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, I have as a sleeper pick this week, as an opportunity that he's going to have a chance to play well. Of those three, I would probably personally go after after Matthew Stafford. I think the setup against the Jacksonville Jaguars, he's got Kenny Galladay back in. And sorry, I didn't put up the question. So this is the question here. But Matthew Stafford with Kenny Galladay averages over 24 fantasy points per game when he's in, right? Matthew Stafford has not been a great game time QB lately. They're not winning a lot of games, but fantasy-wise, he is fantastic. Matt Ryan, same type of thing. I would go those two. And then Kirk Cousins, I have as a sleeper, but if you need, like if you had Dak Prescott and he got hurt, right? If you didn't pick up another quarterback, Cousins would be a guy to look at. He is available in 75% of the average fantasy football leagues. So I would lean that direction only if that's the only option you have. But I would go Stafford, Matt Ryan, and then I would be heading towards Kirk Cousins as the third option, right? Now, he's no Patrick Mahomes. As you guys know, we all talk about every week. I put up a different helmet. Last 2 weeks, I've had Russell Wilson. I've had Alvin Kamara. They are the top point getters. So the reason I didn't bring them on this time is because I've already had them. So I went to the third place pick for top point scorers in the fantasy football leagues, and that's Patrick Mahomes. So I got my Mahomes helmet with me. Dean says, that's funny because I went with Kirk as my waiver pickup for Breeze on the bye. So Cousins is boomer bust, right? I'm going to bring out one of my favorite phrases again. He's a pure boomer bust quarterback. He either looks like, Dan Marino, or he looks like, Monday night primetime Kirk Cousins. But against the team that they're playing this week, I think he has an opportunity to put up big numbers. He's clicking. Thielen's finally coming together with him. Jefferson's playing very well. Also keep in mind that Dalvin Cook is out this week. So Alexander Madison is primed to have a good game. However, they're going to lean on the guys that they have more in the lineup on a more regular basis. So watch for Thielen, Jefferson to have good games, which means I think leads to Cousins having a great opportunity. Madison will have a good game because he is filling in for Dalvin Cook, but I would think they're going to lean heavily on the pass. A couple other questions coming in. Hunter Renfrow, Cole Beasley, Merkel Hardman. So this is a tough. So Cole Beasley is a great player when it comes out of the slot. But he's another one. Being a Cowboys fan for a lot of years, always like to have him on my team as a wide receiver on the bench. I don't trust him to consistently put up big numbers, right? He's going to have a big week, then he's going to have a bad week, and then another bad week, then a big week, right? I would lean towards Hunter Renfrow. At the same time, Hardman's an interesting one because with Sammy Watkins out, you could go that direction. But I would lean Hunter Renfrow as my one. Then I would go Hardman and then Cole Beasley. Part of why Hunter Renfrow is going to look good is because with Ruggs coming onto the scene like he did last week with such energy, there's going to be a focus on him giving Renfrow the opportunity to be open. And Derek Carr is playing very good football this year. Renfrow is a very talented wide receiver. I would lean that direction, and I would go Renfrow, Hardman, Beasley. It would be the choices I would pick. Show off from Caps. What's up, Caps? What's going on, buddy? Good to have you here. Guys, Caps will probably be in the comments, so he'll be chatting with us throughout the day as well. Another one from Dean. That's another reason I went with Kirk to have double up with Jefferson. Jefferson is playing some great football at wide receiver. A lot of great football there. Caps is saying Renfrow is going to get more targets than Hardman in a PPR. Absolutely. Again, I think that is just the better matchup for him. Overall, Hardman is a great player, and he's going to have some opportunities. But again, it's still Kansas City. There's a lot of weapons. There's a slightly fewer with the Raiders, giving the opportunity for more touches there. John Town says, would you trade Kenny Galladay and Hunter Henry for Kittle and Shenault? Well, you're getting a massive upgrade with Kittle in general, but there's a lot of question marks when it comes to the quarterback situation in San Francisco. Regardless, he's still going to put up numbers. If I can get George Kittle for Hunter Henry and then Galladay and Shenault as a swap, there's a lot of wide receiver opportunity when it comes to the NFL. So, yes, if I'm making that trade, I would do that, right? You can replace Kenny Galladay even on the waiver wire with lots of unless you're in a super deep league. Unless you have like 20 teams in the league or 15 teams in the league, that makes it a little harder. But I would make that trade. I would send Hunter Henry for George Kittle, essentially, and then the other guy swap. Shenault is got a lot of opportunity, could end up being very good. I would go that direction. Next question, Jamison Crowder or A.J. Brown, PPR flex. I'm going to go with A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown is definitely going to get more looks. I think he's got more opportunity. I think he's more talented in a better situation overall. I'm going to go A.J. Brown personally in that PPR, especially since we're talking PPR. There's opportunity for him to put up really, really big days. We got Matthew Boyce. What's up, Matt? How you doing, buddy? Pick 3, Diggs, DJ Moore, Devontae Parker, and Ridley. So this comes into one of my things I'm going to talk about in a couple minutes as well. I would go Diggs. He and Josh Allen are clicking on all cylinders. I think you have to go with Diggs, period, end of story. Calvin Ridley is another must start in my opinion, right? Especially with Julio slightly banged up. Even with Julio healthy, Ridley is a very big target. So those are my two. So now the question becomes DJ Moore or Devontae Parker. I do not like DJ Moore this week. So for me, it would have to go Parker. The reason I don't like DJ Moore, I know he had a great game last week. I don't like Teddy Bridgewater's matchup this week either. While the Bears have not been a great football team this whole season, the one thing they have done is shut down wide receivers from the other team. The issue with the Bears has been their own offense, right? Their defense is playing very good football, allowing, I think it's only one touchdown to a opposing wide receiver the whole season, which means I don't trust Teddy Bridgewater this week, which means I'm not trusting DJ Moore this week. So for me, out of those three, Diggs, Parker, Ridley are the three you need to go with. John, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Hopefully that helps out here. We got Sarah. Sit 1, David Johnson or Mostert Gibson. I think I'm sitting David Johnson. I just don't trust his ability back in the league yet. I just don't think he's got it 100% just yet. So I'm not leaning heavily on David Johnson right this moment. I would, because if you get one of the top 5 tight ends, due to this goes back to the question about that trade that we talked about before. I agree. You pick up a tight end like that, you can fill in the wide receiver position, no problem, right? Agree. Anderson is the go-to in Carolina. Yeah, he's the go-to. And again, just they're going up against the team that's very, very stingy against the pass game. So yeah, I would not lean that direction, right? That's just me. I wouldn't go that way. So we'll continue to feed through some of these questions as we go through, kind of talking about a couple of big ins and outs. A couple of the big ins and outs we do have right now. We do have, and I'm going to check this, double check to make sure anything has gone up. Melvin Gordon is out. Supposedly, it has nothing to do with his DUI situation. They're saying it has more to do with his some sort of illness, something like that. Noah Fant is as well out. Dalvin Cook is out. Deshaun Jackson is supposed to be back this coming Thursday, but him and Alshon Jeffrey are also still out. And then, of course, Sam Darnold is out. So the Jets will be starting Joe Flacco. Bear with me one second, just double checking. I'm not seeing any new update when it comes to any players in or out. Got another question here. Follow up Follow-up, car on a bye, starting Teddy Bridgewater or Carson Wentz. I think you have to go with Wentz strictly because I think it's a better situation. I don't like either one of those guys. Wentz is not a guy you would normally see me starting, period, strictly because he just doesn't have a lot of weapons himself. But we saw some of the garbage time stuff last week that they put up some decent numbers. I would lean in that direction. I would go that way. I think Wentz is a better quarterback right now, even though he's pretty banged up himself. I would lean on Carson Wentz when it comes to that. Next question. Yeah, look to free agency. Yes, Matt, I think you might want to take that advice. Go find another quarterback. It sounds crazy, but when it comes to that opportunity, you're not in a good situation either way. If you have Matthew Stafford that's potentially available, maybe go that direction, right? If you have a Kirk Cousins available, you might take a flyer on that. There are other people out there that might end up being a better look. Matt says, the pain of being an Eagles fan is real this year. Matt, and you know, we've had this conversation plenty of times. I'm a Cowboys fan, and I feel your pain. And as much as talented as I believe Carson Wentz is, I don't know that he is the right guy for you to lean on this week. But Teddy Bridgewater isn't much better. But between those two, based on the defenses that they are facing, I think you are better off going up against using Carson Wentz this week in that situation, right? I just think he is going to be the better matchup for you going forward. Stafford too. Stafford is one, like I said, Stafford is a fantasy QB. He's not an NFL QB. He's not going to win you any games. He's not going to win you the big game, but he's going to get you fantasy football points. Run from both. Yes, Caps is saying the same thing as me. Don't talk about pain, Matt. Yes, Nick is a Jets fan. That is very, very tough to view. Nick, I almost feel bad for you, but at the same time, I don't, because you're also a Yankees fan. If anybody watched was watching any of that stuff, it was great to see the Yankees lose. But we'll talk about that more tomorrow on the baseball show. We'll get talking about some craziness that was going on in that side of it. Let's talk about a couple other things. Let's talk about the guys we've mentioned a few guys that I'm a fan of. Let's talk about a few more of those. And Matthew Stafford's one. Another one, Nick, I hate to say this, but you got to look at Fitzpatrick versus the Jets. The Jets are just an abysmal team on both offense and defense, and Ryan Fitzpatrick is, again, another fantasy football quarterback. He's not going to win you a Super Bowl, more than likely, but he can help you win your fantasy football game. His matchup against the Jets is very good. The Jets shouldn't have the ball. They don't have a great run game. They don't have a great passing game, so the ball will be back in the hands of the Dolphins on a regular basis, right? So I would lean that direction towards a Ryan Fitzpatrick is having a potentially good day. Let's see here. We have goodness gracious, my apologies. So that, but at the same time, when we talk about running backs poised to have a big game, I would look at Frank Gore as an opportunity to have a potentially big game. Alexander Madison's going to have a chance at a very big game. Watch for Ezekiel Elliott to really bounce back. A couple other ones take. Banty Boy's taking shots. Yeah, that's what I do. What do you think about Minshew? I don't like Minshew on a regular basis. He's another quarterback that has a lot of peaks and valleys. I like him as a person. I really enjoy the persona he has. He should do well. I used him last week when Aaron Rodgers was on a bye in one of my leagues. I think he'll do good, but he is not a steady quarterback. He also doesn't have a lot of the weapons around him to do that. I would have him on my bench as a fill-in for a bye week, but he's not a quarterback that I would lean on heavily going forward. Hollywood or Parker, I would lean on Hollywood. I think they're going to have a good game. You're going up against the Eagles, which is a very tough team. I would go that direction. Hollywood should be primed for a good game. Lamar Jackson is facing the Eagles for the first time in his career. They have no idea what they're about to run into. I would lean that direction very heavily. So that's that one. Let's jump in. Miami is a 9.5 point favorite, right? I don't know the spread on those things. I don't pay attention to that quite as much. Not feeling about my recent trade. I gave up Keenan Allen and Myles Gaskin. I got Robinson and Tyler Boyd. So Keenan Allen and Tyler Boyd can kind of be interchangeable. Gaskin and Robinson can kind of be interchangeable. The problem with Gaskin is he's on a terrible team. Yeah, Robinson had a bad week. He could bounce back. I like Robinson. I wouldn't feel bad about your trade yet, right? Sometimes you hit a rough patch a couple weeks in a row. So stick with it. Don't be too upset. I would trust in Robinson a little bit, go that direction. Not sure how I am feeling him. I knew what you meant. Caps is saying Madison over a total 100 yards today, 1 to 2 scores. I think he definitely is going to put up some big yards. I don't know if I lean on him for the scoring as well. Definitely has the opportunity to do so, but that is the question mark, is how much scoring will he do versus that wide receiver crew. Spencer Luloff says, hey, just 1 week while I have Russ is on the bye. I did the same thing. Again, I had Minshew against last week, again, when Aaron Rodgers was out. So considering that Detroit is also a terrible team, it could be a high-scoring game. So for a situation like that, yeah, Spencer, I would go ahead and maybe trust him for a week. So yes, then I would find somebody else to put on that bench as an emergency after the fact. Camp says Miami a current 9-point favorite over the Jets. Thank you, Caps, for double checking that info for me. I greatly appreciate it. All right, so no new inactives, ins or outs. I keep the feed up on my phone here so I can keep tabs on anything crazy that's going on. Not seeing anything to this point, so we'll keep that in the loop. Again, so we talked about some of our scoring leaders. So Alvin Kamara actually leads all of fantasy. He's out this week, so that'll shift. Russell Wilson, same thing. Patrick Mahomes is in this week. So if you're looking for some sleeper picks of what we've been talking about so far today, at quarterback, I'm saying Kirk Cousins is my sleeper. Spencer, at the same time, I do think that Minshew has an opportunity, considering he is playing Detroit, right? So that is an opportunity. Running back, I'm going to go with Frank Gore. Miami isn't a great defense. They don't do very well against the run. And when you have Joe Flacco coming into an organization where he isn't as familiar, he's been hurt for a while, Frank Gore could end up having an opportunity to put up some big numbers, especially goal line if they can get down in that situation. He's available in 75% of the leagues. Another wide receiver, we've talked about a few other wide receivers that are available. One of the bigger wide receivers that's available is Preston Wilson. He's available in a roughly 60% of the average fantasy football leagues. Dolphins wide receiver, again, it's another team that puts up a lot of points or no points. But again, you have a team facing the New York Jets and a bad team. There's an opportunity for points there. Tight end. He was a sleeper when I wrote this note at the beginning of the week. He's not as much of a sleeper anymore. People have had a chance to look at him. At tight end, Robert Tonyan from the Green Bay Packers seems to have really filled in well as another pass-catching option for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. He is now only available in 40% of the leagues. He was, at the beginning of the week, available in roughly 70% of the leagues. He was a major pickup. And he does have an opportunity for a big game, right? Because Devontae Adams is back in, but he's got some connection with Aaron Rodgers. So as they start to watch some of those other wide receivers, Aaron Rodgers is going to trust his hands probably over Valdez-Scantling and a few others. So watch for Tonyan to have a good game. Dean Yates says Foles is a sleeper. Foles definitely has an opportunity today. Carolina is an iffy defense, and he does have a chance to put up some big games. He's another guy. He's not a guy you're going to traditionally keep on your roster from start to finish, right? He's going to be a guy that you're going to have fill in. Big Bob Cheese. What's up, Scott? How you doing, buddy? Dean says, I'm on the bye week. Hell, Jamal Williams, McKinnon. So McKinnon has an opportunity. He's probably the more steady. Jamal Williams will get plenty of touches. If anybody watches any of the Green Bay games, you'll notice that they do a lot of shuffling of running backs in and out, right? Williams is their number 2 behind Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones gets the majority of carries, but Williams has had a fair amount of touches towards the goal line lately. You could take a flyer on him. McKinnon's probably the safer bet. There's not a lot out on the free agency market. I don't know how deep your league is, but there's not as much on the free agent market. I know a lot of people looked at like Damian Harris from New England, but they're going up against a team that plays really well against the run, so I don't know that I'd lean that direction. But yeah, I mean, out of those 2 options, I mean, Jamal Williams actually has a chance in a game like this to put up some numbers. There should be some goal line situations. There should be a fair amount of plays where they're going to have to cycle in and out of their running backs as options. I definitely think there's an opportunity for Jamal Williams to have a big game. All right. So I talked about some of my sleeper picks also. I'll put a little bit of a homer because I am a Cowboys fan. Watch for Dalton Schultz to start to slowly emerge. I know Dallas has a ton of offensive weapons, but we just don't know how Andy Dalton's going to mix into that equation, right? And how is he going to feel with Amari Cooper and Gallup and CD? But that goes for if I'm going to pick my top players for this week at each of their positions, the players I'm leaning towards at QB, my top quarterback pick for this week is Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is a dual threat quarterback. He's really come together with his wide receiver core. DeAndre Hopkins is a maniac alongside with Kyler Murray. And the Dallas Cowboy defense is absolutely horrible. Now, the Dallas defense could get a lift here soon with Leighton Vander Esch possibly coming back soon. There's still a chance Sean Lee could get back into the mix. So they have some people on the way, but nothing great, right? So Kyler Murray should have a big game against that Dallas defense. At running back, I'm going to go to the other side of the ball. I think Zeke is going to have a big game. Ezekiel Elliott from the Dallas Cowboys, primed to have a great game, considering the fact that Andy Dalton is the quarterback, not Dak Prescott, right? So you take a look at the opportunity. They're going to need to go run heavy. The offensive line is a little banged up, so they're going to have to give Dalton as much time as they can. Dalton is a pocket quarterback. He is not mobile like Dak Prescott, who can extend the play and throw on the run. So they're going to still have an opportunity to score points, but Zeke should get a heavy workload. Now, I'm going to stay with the same game, and I'm going to go with my top wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins. Again, that Cowboys defense is absolutely abysmal. And I think that leads between Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins is going to lead to a big game. At tight end, I'm going to go with the Ravens tight end, Mark Andrews. Again, they're playing a bad Philly team. And there's a lot of interesting parts. There's a lot of NFC East teams on the bad side of this. But the Eagles are a bad team. Mark Andrews is a great tight end, and he's become a very big target, obviously, for Lamar Jackson over the time that they've worked together. So I would watch for Mark Andrews to have another really big game and put away the Eagles pretty quickly. And then if I'm going flex, another option we've talked about, Alexander Mattison. I think I wouldn't have him as a primary running back if you have some other options, but he is definitely a flex option. I think he can catch some passes out of the backfield, as well as he's going to get his touches out of the backfield. So there's a lot of opportunity for there. So Kyler Murray, Ezekiel Elliott, DeAndre Hopkins, Mark Andrews, Alexander Mattison are my big picks for the week. Okay, so a couple of my don't touch these guys if you can keep from it. We've talked about some of the guys I like, obviously Stafford, Fitzpatrick. But on the other side of the ball, watch out for guys like Carson Wentz if you don't have to, Teddy Bridgewater if you don't have to. But a big one for me that I am not a big fan of, but he's going to be in the starting lineup is Philip Lindsay. Philip Lindsay, yeah, Jerry is horrible. But watch out for Philip Lindsay. He may seem like a want to start because of obviously having Melvin Gordon out of the lineup, but he is not. He's been a little bit banged up, but they are also getting Drew Lock back at quarterback this week. I know he's been injured. We'll see how he responds to being back on the field. But you got guys, I would lean towards a heavy dose of the pass. I know they're missing Noah Fant, but watch for guys, obviously Jerry Jeudy to connect back with Dalvin Cook. Watch for that to come back around. Dan Boston asks, pick 2, T.Y. Hilton, Christian Kirk, Adam Humphries. So for me, I would normally not pick Christian Kirk only because he hasn't been one of the primary guys there. But again, he's facing a terrible Dallas defense. DeAndre Hopkins should have a good game. I would look at Christian Kirk as another opportunity to also have a good game. If you go back to the Dallas game against a team like Atlanta, when both Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley put up big games, I think you need to look at Christian Kirk as an opportunity. T.Y. Hilton, I don't trust him. I would go to Adam Humphries. T.Y. Hilton just hasn't done anything since Andrew Luck left, right? Those two were on the same page. Phillip Rivers and him haven't gone back together. So again, he could have a big day. He's a very capable wide receiver when he's healthy, but I just wouldn't lean that direction. I would go Adam Humphries and Christian Kirk. Cap says, I can beat Boston randomizer, no help there. There you go. So that's where we're leaning towards on some of those guys. So go over a couple other big opportunities. Watch for, we just talked about T.Y. Hilton. There's a chance that I would lean heavily on a guy like Jonathan Taylor against Cincinnati. Those guys aren't doing very great in Cincinnati. I would lean that direction. Another tight end that was picked up pretty heavily the last couple of weeks is Jonnu Smith from Tennessee. Okay, so he's had rest. They've all been rested because they've been sitting out due to COVID. I would look towards him having a great game. Caps says Phillip Rivers is past his prime. Stay away from Hilton. Phillip Rivers is one of those guys that he's had some great years. He's been a good quarterback, but he belongs in the Hall of Very Good, right? Not the Hall of Fame. He's not a great fantasy quarterback either. He's had some times where I've seen him put up 4 or 5 touchdowns in his career, but that was years ago. And to Cap's point, he is basically washed up at this point. He's a filler in Indy till they can find either Eason or somebody else to fill it and actually become the franchise quarterback. He is not going to be the guy that's going to win you a Super Bowl, and he's not going to win you your fantasy Super Bowl. And again, that's why you stay away from a guy like T.Y. Hilton possibly and lean on a running back from Minneapolis like Jonathan Taylor. Marlon Mack would have been a great option, but of course, with him being out, the workload will fall heavily on Jonathan Taylor. I know they got a couple other decent running backs there that take up some split time, but lean on Jonathan Taylor when it comes to that. Like I said, Jonnu Smith from Tennessee. But the good part is I know we didn't have any Thursday night football, so we get a chance to talk about everybody that's out there. So lean very heavily on the guys that you trust. We got every game right now. There were no new COVID positive tests this morning. Every team is scheduled to play. We got 2 Monday night games. You got a early afternoon, mid-afternoon type game on Monday, and then, of course, the Dallas Cowboys play Monday night. There are only 2 afternoon games, so we get a chance to watch all that, and, of course, Sunday Night Football. What happened to Brissett? They sat him. He wasn't doing the job. Phillip Rivers is a better quarterback. Brissett is going to be a career bench backup quarterback, and he's not a bad one to have as a backup quarterback. He did well in New England. He did okay last year. Again, he's not. I don't think he's in a situation that benefits him as a quarterback in general. But I don't think any quarterback benefits from being in Indy right this minute. I just don't see it as a great place for quarterbacks. They don't have a lot of weapons, a good defense, but their offense is not that great. It's an up and coming. I'm glad they're not pushing for a rookie like Eason or somebody to start in that system. I think it's good to let him marinate. Phillip Rivers is a smart quarterback. I think it's going to be a good opportunity for him to learn and grow. And I think they're going to be in a good situation because of that. So watch for them in the future, but this year just isn't going to be Indy's year. Dean says Tanyan is another tight end flyer. He had a touchdown. Yeah, we talked about him a little earlier. So I have him as my sleeper tight end pick. He went from being available in, again, almost 70% of leagues to, as of this morning, he's available in only 40% of leagues. So if you have an opportunity to pick up Robert Tanyan from the Green Bay Packers at tight end, I would pick him up. I think he would do a great job. Matt Torres, hey, thanks for jumping in, buddy. You're always good for a laugh. Thanks, man. But yeah, Dean, I would lean that direction. I would definitely lean that direction, man. So Tanyan is a great opportunity. Again, Dalton Schultz is another one if you need another deep tight end. Again, in Dallas, we don't know what's going to happen with Andy Dalton and who he's going to click with. So there's an opportunity for those guys to connect. Plus, he was playing really well with Dak Prescott anyway. So, again, those are some of my flyers on it for today. We have another question coming in. I got Mike Davis, Todd Gurley starting at running back. Do I start Kenyon Drake, Chase Edmonds, Phillip Lindsay at flex, PPR? So I don't like Phillip Lindsay this week. I don't like he wasn't playing great when Melvin Gordon came in. They got Drew Lock coming back in. I don't like Phillip Lindsay at that position. I don't think it's a great matchup for him today. Chase Edmonds could be a one. I have a tough time walking away from Kenyon Drake because of what he did last year, right? At the same time, he just hasn't produced this season. I might lean on, because of the way the Cowboys can't stop much of anybody, I might end up going with Chase Edmonds this week. Kenyon Drake has not done enough. And with the way they're passing against the Dallas team, I think Chase Edmonds might be the way to go that week. So, but yeah, stay away from Phillip Lindsay. Kenyon Drake and Edmonds is kind of a toss-up, but I would lean Edmonds. Spencer Lulaf, do I go Ertz, Beasley, or Gore? When in doubt, go with somebody who can catch passes. I would go. I'm not a huge fan of Ertz this week, but I would go with Ertz over Beasley and Gore. Gore is going to be either a huge success or an absolute bust, and I don't know that I would trust anybody on the Jets this season to be an absolute must. I have him as a potential good game, as a deep sleeper, but since you have other options, I would go the other direction. So for me, I would go in the order that you listed them. Ertz would be my number one, Beasley, then Gore, right? Those would be my picks. Dean Yates, I grabbed him last week because I knew it would be smart move. Absolutely smart move for that. So, but yeah, so we're trucking right along. We're getting up towards the normal time. I don't want to take up all your day, guys. I greatly appreciate it. We try to do a couple where I have someone else join in with me. We do a little bit longer stream, but generally I do about a half hour with you guys, get you going for the day, and then jump back on Monday nights to talk baseball. So let's stay here for a couple more minutes, see if anybody's got some other questions. I know some of the other guys. Oh, we did that one. People are going to focus on Fulgham and Ertz. Ertz will have a good game. Yeah, Fulgham came in with a great week last week. He's definitely, without any other wide receivers that anybody even knows of, is going to draw a lot of the attention. Wentz and Ertz do have a chemistry. They've been together for a couple of years now, and they've put up some big numbers together. It is about time those two start to put up some serious points on the board. So I have Ertz in one of my leagues. I have him starting this week. So yeah, I would lean on Ertz. At the end of the day, he's still a very good tight end with a talented QB, but in a busted team. But I would lean on Ertz to potentially have a good day today. Wentz, on the other hand, he may only throw passes to Ertz, so you might get more benefit out of an Ertz versus a guy like a Carson Wentz. Let's see what else we got. So a lot of people talk about some of the top QBs in this week. One of them, Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen. They're facing each other, right? So there's a chance they could both have big games, but I think Patrick Mahomes is primed for another fantastic one. Torres, I don't know, but your comments, we can just not have, Matt, we don't need your comments on some of that stuff. Caps is saying, isn't Dallas Goddard out? So Wentz will, yes, Dallas Goddard is out this week, so he is not playing. We got Adam Luber. I have Amari Cooper, Devontae Parker, Crowder, Fulgham, and Smith-Schuster. Crowder is overrated, so underrated. You think Schuster is worth a spot, or Cooper with Dak out? I think Schuster is worth a start. I don't know how many can you start, Adam? The other part of this question. Also, do you think Devontae Freeman is worth a start? It all depends on what other options you have. Parker has, Freeman. Let's see, double check who they're going up against. He had a great week against a team like Dallas last week again because they're just such a terrible defense. So you're going up against Washington with Freeman. So there's another bad team. Yes, he's primed for another big game. The questions I have trouble trusting Dak, Amari only because he doesn't have Dak around. But at the same time, a pocket QB with an opportunity to throw to a guy like Parker could be worth that. I would start Fulgham. I would start Smith-Schuster. And then if you need a third, then I would probably go with Amari as my third. So 2 wideouts and a flex. Okay, 2 wideouts and a flex. Fulgham needs to be 1, right? And then I would do Schuster, and then I would do Cooper. And, I just lean that direction. I think Cooper has a chance to be a big day, but he would be my third pick out of those, right? We went with that one. So, yeah, but Devontae Freeman – Again, you got a bad Washington team. I think there's an opportunity to put up big points against a team like that, right? Oof, pardon me. So that really kind of rounds it up. A couple of big games to watch for, question marks. You look at a Steelers-Browns team. Obviously, the Browns have been playing well, but you got Baker Mayfield injured. Had some rib stuff going on. We talk about the Patriots and Broncos should be another great one to watch. Drew Lock is back. Cam Newton is back. I think that's going to be a fun game to watch when it comes to who's scoring what points. Games, another one, obviously Tennessee Titans versus the Houston Texans. Texans have not been playing great football, but they need a bounce back game. I see them have a chance to play a good one. Tennessee, a big dose of Henry out of the backfield. I think that'll be another fun one to watch. Games I'm not excited to watch basically at all is the Bears and Panthers. The Lions and Jags won't be fun. The Dolphins Jets doesn't look like a lot of fun. The afternoon game, Packers and Buccaneers should be great to see. Chris Godwin back in the mix. Fournette will be suited up, but he is not expected to probably touch the ball more than just a couple of times, if at all, if they need him. So watch for a big heavy dose of Rojo, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, those guys. Gronk at some point's got to get it figured out, his directions with Tom Brady there. Matt Torres says, is Dwayne Haskins starting? Terry McLaurin is my boy. No, I don't believe Dwayne Haskins is listed as the starter. I actually didn't check to see who was listed as the starter for them. Give me 1 second. I have it right here. I'm just really not sold on Crowder. I just don't have a great vibe that direction. I've had his name pop up a couple of times this week already, and I just wouldn't lean on that in any direction. So let me pull up the info on the Washington starters this week when it comes to quarterback. I do apologize. I should have checked that, but I did not actually check who was in there. Haskins. Another question. Haskins is still third string. Okay, he is still listed as third string. Okay. Kyle Allen is on track to be the starter against the Giants. Alex Smith is listed as the number 2. So yeah, so Haskins is not only not starting, he's not still back at the third string like he was last week. Alex Smith came in and played some good football. It was really nice to see him back out on the field after such a horrible injury. And I'm hoping an injury like what Dak Prescott just had happen to him isn't nearly as severe, and he can hopefully bounce back. They do expect Dak to be back in time for training camp next year is what they're expecting. So we'll see how well his strength and everything comes back. So I think Raheem Mostert is my flex over. I don't trust anybody from Washington again. There's a couple of teams that you just don't trust anybody from. McLaurin isn't a guy. You're on your third core. You have 3 quarterbacks starting in Washington throughout this or playing throughout the season so far. I just wouldn't trust anybody from Washington right now. And now, if you were playing individual defensive players, you might look at a guy like a Chase Young and a few others, but you don't trust anybody on that offense. They're just not a very good offense right this minute, right? Good choice for Mostert over McLaurin. That's Caps. I agree with you on that. Absolutely. So, all right, guys. Well, looks like we are coming up on time. We've gone a little past the normal. I appreciate it. If we have any other additional questions, guys, keep an eye out. I will post on my page if anything major happens in between now and the normal game time start, and we'll make sure we stay in touch on stuff. So, All day, my man. Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you guys for joining in. That is going to do it for us today. Enjoy the rest of your day with football. We'll talk again here soon. And again, keep an eye on. I'll post any updates. And if I've given any advice that I was terrible, just comment on this video again later. If I gave some advice and it worked out, or if we did as a community, just shoot out a shout out to the guys, and we'll go from there. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I greatly appreciate it. We will see you guys tomorrow night for our baseball show. We got a great week of shows lined up, and then again on Sunday for this again next week. So we will talk to you guys then. Thank you so much. Have a